After during the afternoon, maybe lunchtime, and you open up that vehicle and it just whoosh, it hits you. Imagine sitting in that for some time. Very dangerous. So again, checking that back seat for the kids as well as the pets.
We're going to get you into holiday weekend forecast, starting with where we're going to see some storms. This looks beautiful right now. I could barely turn myself around to have to talk to you all because I just wanted to look at the beach.
It really is a fantastic shot, right?
Is it going to last?
Well, that's the problem, right? It's the fact that, yeah, we may get these beautiful scenes, but getting interrupted by the showers and storms. That's what we're going to have to do.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about how this all plays out here for us. And looking at, again, the peninsula.
Your day actually without storms, but then they develop, and they're develop in a big way with big hail and maybe strong winds. You look at the radar this morning, there's some thunderstorms that are still going on right now just to the east of San Angelo. I'll zoom in and show you that. But this activity, like around Dallas and southward through Waco, maybe a few showers well west of Houston, those are sort of not a big deal. Just very light rain showers, disrupting your morning walk or something like that, but otherwise not causing any problems. Brownwood, south of you, thunderstorms have been ongoing. Abilene, we've got thunderstorms not in town, but south of you, and that's been ongoing for the last couple of hours. Not severe, and it's not really our event for today. We go back west into West Texas, into New Mexico. The dry line will again be a trigger for thunderstorms, perhaps extending all the way up here into Colorado, where we could see storms firing up. Big hail will be the biggest threat, just like the last 2 days. Clovis, Hobbs, Midland, Fort Stockton, all in that zone where we could see the large hail 2-inch size or greater. We're talking ping pong ball size hail, maybe up to baseball size hail or greater. So that is one of the biggest concerns. But in terms of timing, it's not until this evening that these storms really fire up. So you do have a lot of your day without thunderstorm activity. But around Amarillo and Lubbock, we see these storms into the evening, and they may continue until while you're sleeping here a little farther to the east. Peak swarming season, but the surge in bee sightings shouldn't be feared.
Well, today's guest, bee enthusiast Christine Rhodes.
So you are actually a swarm catcher. You've got all the gear on. Why is it important to go out and catch the new bee swarms? Can't nature just take care of it itself?
Well, it can.
New bees all the way from Georgia. How does the transportation process work?
So you can get packages, and we love Georgia because Georgia can.
Oh, beekeeper Christine Rhodes, thank you so much for talking to us about this. And I did ask her, how does she get in her car? You know, the seatbelt.
Right.
You need a seatbelt. You need to, like, you don't want those bees escaping, right? Christine, thank you so much, and everything that you do to help our pollinators.
In fact, protecting our pollinators is just one of the many topics discussed on Pattern. That's each day at noon.
Easier to dig. That's the only,
I didn't know if
reason.
they just came to the top or something.
No, just makes it easier for you. She has 2 big 5-gallon buckets of dirt from here that she brought back. You can bring back. So
what do you do with the dirt?
Well, you go through it, you know.
Oh, I thought you mined there, and then you
do, but you can take some.
Oh, and then maybe when you're home, you might find something later.
I should go over. I should go over and help her. Yeah. Weather-wise, though, in the 80s, will be dry today, so no rain.
I like that. Digging for some diamonds.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about we head to the north?
Yeah.
We've got the forecast, which does call for some rain showers this afternoon. So that bee may be flashing red out there, so you'll be ready for that. Meanwhile, the rest of the week into the Memorial Holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Beautiful. Boston, 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend Sunday. That's great. All right, let's get to our question of the day. We're asking, you know how to fix them?
I think I may have figured it out.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if
I think it's going to take my house down.
I don't know. Yeah, they're that bad. I'm not sure if it's environmentally friendly.
Okay.
So
we got to get Christine.
Yeah, we got to ask about that. But yeah, those things.
I don't know, a raccoon or black fly. It feels
wow,
the same.
It's that bad? Wow.
Maybe I exaggerate. The mid-morning hours.
That's right. The Weather Channel going to help you plan out the rest of the day. And, of course, heading towards the holiday weekend. For some of us, that weekend may not be so great. We got some wet weather, cool weather in play. Yeah, some of those pools are opening up, but you probably won't want to be getting into those pools.
Yeah. Now, meantime, we do want to take you to Guam, where we have been dealing all last night, all day for them. They're getting into the overnight tonight here by a very powerful typhoon. It is moving away, but it's still lashing them with some of those outer rain bands. And you can see the satellite view of this, how intense it was. Equivalent to, at one point, like a Category 5 hurricane. Yeah,
this is a monster system, no doubt about it there. And, of course, the island, they're taking a good beating from this thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like a direct hit, but you don't have to have a direct hit to get big problems.
I think, unfortunately, you know, it moved just to the north of the island, but that might put some of the island in some of that outer band,
Right.
and so
Right.
that eye wall, which is the worst part. The eye itself, at least you get a break.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
calmer winds.
Well, back into the States here where the hail has been an issue, right? Hitting the road, literally, and cars. I mean, look at this. That windshield, it's done. Hopefully they have the insurance. I'm sure most storm chasers have that. But yeah, that windshield has no chance with that hail action that was coming down. That's been the story for us over the last several days with the storms that have been firing up across the middle of the country.
Yeah.
And we've got more as we head through this week.
In some similar areas, but we're going to expand it a little bit. We'll show you where. Plus, today's storms may be bugging your midweek plans, and we will see a similar situation because not a whole lot has changed in the atmosphere. So right now, when we look at the water vapor, sometimes that points to, where do we have the energy or any kind of upper level energy? Well, you see this zone, you think, oh, that must be where everything's happening. Yeah, that's where the moisture is at the moment, but you see all this dry air pushing in. That's going to retreat back, and the dry line again becomes a trigger for thunderstorms today. This stuff is going to be going away. We already see that happening. There is some showers south of Dallas down towards Waco, but it really has been on the lighter side. There are some thunderstorms out here. They have not been severe, but there's lightning, and that is a risk, and we see that right around the Brownwood area, sort of a steady train. There must be some leftover boundary from the overnight complex of storms that's just allowing these storms to kind of continue to fire up. But those two will weaken. And then we turn our attention back here from Clayton, New Mexico, through Amarillo, Texas, down to Fort Stockton with the risk of thunderstorms. Damaging winds and hail are the main threats. Again, big hail, especially possible in that zone here hatched. That does include Hobbs and Midland, the kind of hail that will smash a windshield, just like we showed you at the beginning of the show. And you'll have a lot of your day that'll look pretty good until we get to about 5 or 6 o'clock. And then the thunderstorms fire up. We see them move east back to Amarillo, Lubbock, and we'll see probably a cluster of storms develop overnight, bringing some heavy rain concerns. Things will be pretty slow moving, and then we'll watch that as we get into the overnight here. Again, Abilene, tomorrow morning, you'll be tuning in because you've got thunderstorms. All right, Alex, let's go farther north. We've had some big rainmakers up here. We're going to also see a rainy time of it here from South Carolina to North Carolina and Virginia for a lot of the weekend. This is Charleston, South Carolina's forecast. Friday, 68 degrees, cloudy, rainy, windy. Saturday, 69 degrees, still rainy, probably not as windy, but still a little bit breezy out there, very damp, kind of coolish. And the reason this is happening is because this front that we've been watching coming through Florida this week, it's been pretty stationary, but it does get a little move on because of an area of low pressure that forms on it. And then we watch the low pivot up here into the southeast. So now it's a bad weather maker in parts of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. It's very similar setup to what we saw at the end of last week, where last week it was more confined to just along the coast with the heavy rain. This week, it's going to spread out, and we're going to see rain all throughout, even to the upstate of South Carolina, from the Piedmont of North Carolina to the mountains. We're going to be watching some showers. Asheville, yes, again, for the 13th weekend in a row, you will have rain this weekend. And that with that high pressure to the north, which is, by the way, going to get a little below average for us in parts of the Northeast, it actually is going to be the reason why we see all the wind. So very windy along the coast especially, and we see that into your Friday, continuing Friday night into Saturday. Still raining here. Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, we've got showers all through the Outer Banks. Virginia Beach, we've got showers. This is now Sunday, and it's still rainy, so impacting us literally the whole weekend long. This is the time of year, Alex, where a lot of people plan a wedding. We're getting into that season. You might have thought, oh, Memorial Day weekend, great. Then I'll have a long weekend for my anniversary always, But this weekend, you're going to have, if anything's outside, including your pictures, you're going to need some alternative
secondary
plans.
options. Absolutely, no doubt about it. And it may have to change some of those travel plans, something that we talked about yesterday. We asked you, what do you do here when the weather forecast calls for maybe some bad weather? Do you change those travel plans? Well, most of you, more than 75%, said, no, we're going regardless of what's going on with the forecast.
Only 4% said you would cancel. So not many. Today's issues, by the way, I would say Denver, Dallas might be your best chance, but later in the day for thunderstorms.
Yeah, watch those spots. And even around the Great Lakes, where we may not be talking about a lot of wet weather, but a bit windy out there. I was looking at Milwaukee. Those wind gusts this morning were getting up over 30 miles per hour.
And it's kind of chilly, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
You're away. You can always find something good to do.
You could be here. Well, one person who drives toward bad weather is our storm tracker, Charles Peak. He has
love bugs.
Alex, we need to send you on a road trip.
We don't, because I don't want anything to do with them. No thanks.
It's a thing.
Head to Twitter.
Went just north of the island, which was amazing, that little wobble. Plus, it went through an eyewall replacement cycle just as it was approaching yesterday. Two good things, actually. But, it really took the brunt of that left side, which usually the right side is the worst side, but a lot of the bad weather was on the left side of this one.
Unfortunately, right? So yeah, it's going to be a while before we know exactly how this thing has really impacted the island. But no doubt about it, it's not going to be an easy situation to deal with. But you can see where it is in relation now. It is now starting to work its way northwest of the island. So things will be improving. That's the good news here for us.
I have a friend whose parents lived not too far where he was in Tumon Bay, and about a quarter-mile inland, they lost their front door. The roof was coming off. They were still able to get text out, amazingly, but they said basically all the trees, everything around them gone. I mean, it's living through this is basically like being in a tornado, for hours on end.
That's the thing. It's just
it's just after midnight Guam time right now. So we probably need a few more hours to really the burst of the weather to go through, and then for us to really be able to get some reports.
Yeah, the light of the day will help that. But you can see in the forecast, it will continue to march its way across the waters here. And you notice, I mean, we don't really see it losing much steam here. In fact, gaining by early Friday, ramping up a bit, and then continuing as we move through the weekend into early next week.
Yeah, so next up here, let's keep an eye on the Philippines. Now, this is the time of the year when we see storms form in the Western Pacific. We are just 8 days away from the official start of the Atlantic hurricane season.
And while we know storms can form outside of the season, this is the time to prepare. Never too early to prepare for the hurricane season, that's for sure.
Yeah, and when we talked to storm tracker James Reynolds about Guam earlier, he said, people didn't seem too worried. I think that's because they are very prepared there. They live in a zone that is that Western Pacific is certainly wrought with potential storms and typhoons. Now here, we have no development for the next 7 days, but we know that things can change pretty quickly in the tropics. So every day we're going to bring you an update on what's going on.
Absolutely. Well, we get into the latter part of May, which again, we can see storms occur. In fact, you can see going back to 1950, there are storms that have developed. All those dots are showing those areas that we've seen some development. And one thing that's not going to be a problem for any of these systems that try to get going, the water temperatures.
Yeah. A lot of warmth here, especially in the Gulf. It maybe not too unusual to see water temperatures, warm enough here.
Right.
But especially in the Atlantic and the main development region, we're running above average. And so that's, a concern as we get going out here.
Absolutely. And then once we get into June, certainly the number of storms starts to increase. So more dots are showing up. Again, these are actual storms and where they originated, southeast coast, in the Atlantic, and then also quite a few there in parts of the Gulf of Mexico and Western Caribbean.
All right, so where are we with the outlook? We're actually going to get the NOAA outlook. I think it comes out tomorrow. So far, you got Colorado State, 13. We've got the Weather Channel, 15. The average is 14. So close to average. That's
anticipated. But regardless of these numbers, only takes one. Being prepared is the key.
Well, activity, welcome back in, everyone. Here as we get you ready for the upcoming holiday weekend. Now, those temperatures, Alex, did not tell the whole story. That's the thing.
No, not at all. Yeah, we saw that, but some of the reasons why we've got some of the cooler numbers is because we're going to have a lot of cloud cover and rain and storms around.
Yes, yeah. It's never just one piece of the forecast puzzle that gives you the whole. You need the whole story.
Exactly. So let's give the whole story. Walk on over.
Oh, not everywhere, but where we've been getting the storms, man, they've been nasty with some big hail damaging cars. At the moment, we have none of those kind of storms here in the works. A couple of little areas, St. Louis, just to the west of there. These storms have been hanging around for a while there in Missouri. Some thunderstorms eastern Oklahoma. These thunderstorms here across west central Texas, still going strong with the lightning and the rainfall, but they're not severe. That's going to change later on today as we see new thunderstorms develop. But for now, at least these have moved out of Brownwood. I think you're finally out of the storm train that has been ongoing here. We've got a few thunderstorms now just to the west of Fort Smith, too. These have not been moving a lot, and so just always watching out for heavy rain concerns and flooding whenever storms are slow like that, although there are no flash flood warnings there right now. Today, though, new storms develop on the dry line into eastern New Mexico, western Texas, Clayton down to Fort Stockton. We've got all hazards at play, but the main risk is going to be hail. Like we've been seeing, there'll probably be those individual supercell thunderstorms that they're so visual, right? Storm chasers like to capture these because they look beautiful in the atmosphere, and if they're not hitting anyone, great. But sometimes, well, their car gets caught in the hailstorms, and we've seen that over the past couple of days. This is now your forecast, and so it's as the sun sets and soon after is when these storms will be developing and then continuing after dark. Likely to get some heavy rainfall. They'll be slow moving as we see this into the overnight while you're sleeping. And yes, in Childress, you'll get some more storms again, and perhaps even tomorrow morning. had this. This is so cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool,
How
right?
did we not know this all these years in the weather forecasting business?
Exactly. There's a bunch of them out there in the different cities that have
Pittsburgh,
these
you
things.
mentioned once before?
Yeah, that is a spot too. Yeah, so forecast for today, some rain this afternoon, so we may be talking about a steady red that may be showing up.
Then there'll be a steady blue by the weekend?
I think so.
Lots of sunshine.
That's beautiful forecast. We're warming up, staying dry. Enjoy that.
All right, today's question of the day, weeks later.
Oh, so it's like a prolonged effect there.
You've never gotten bit by a fire ant?
One or two, but not like a whole mouth. Stay away from the fire ants. Huh?
Yeah, oh, for
If you
sure.
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to
Pretty
be.
cool.
Maybe some water gotten somewhere. And
Yeah.
That's what we'll go with.
All right. Well, you heard about the rainwater that was for sale.
Yes, people were.
Did you hear about this? Someone is trying to sell rainwater from Taylor's.
Oh my goodness! Yes, it was up. Apparently up. I guess the sites that they were up took it down before they just the water, not the water that came off of Taylor, just the rain coming down from the sky.
I was incredulous, but then I was like, I kind of want some. Just kidding.
Oh,
Just kidding. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for choosing America's Morning Headquarters to get you through the mid-morning hours.
That's right. The Weather Channel going to help you here through the day and head towards the weekend, which of course is the Memorial Holiday weekend. Most of us have plans or want to try to get out and enjoy it. Will the weather cooperate? We will let you know.
Yeah, and getting serious right now, we've been following what's happening in Guam, where we have been getting pummeled all through their day. Now they're into the overnight hours. A very powerful typhoon moving just north of the island. We're watching it here from starting yesterday's loop here on the visible satellite, where at one time it was equivalent to a Category 5.
Yeah, very powerful system, no doubt about it there. We'll certainly keep updating you on how things are faring there in Guam. Meanwhile, working our way back stateside, and well, it's been the storms with hail that have really hit the road, literally. In fact, the cars themselves. Look at this. I mean, you can clearly hear it and see the damage. That's what we mean when we talk about some of these hailstones and what they can do to your vehicles, which is why we always say park them in the garage, the carport.
Right.
That's the best way to protect them.
I mean, a dent on your car is one thing, and that's annoying, and you want to fix it. But this is dangerous. Some cases you can't even still, drive with a windshield like that. So we've got a stormy forecast out there, and we'll talk more about that and how it affects your travel. But first, very dramatic in the sky. And with that, we'll see maybe some strong outflow winds coming out of it, some large hail. Those are the two main risks. Now, when you look at the water vapor, there's some energy back here over the west, but really the dry line is going to be the main trigger again today when it comes to getting the storms going. So this moisture that you see here over central and maybe even some of eastern Texas, not the big deal. There's some thunderstorms out there left over from the ongoing complex of storms. We still have that here now. It is south of Brownwood, lightning and thunder out there, well south of Abilene, but Abilene, a new storm just fired up. Yes, again this morning. You guys are dealing with that. Not severe, thankfully, but lightning. Fort Smith. It's not in town, but it's west of you here into eastern Oklahoma that we're dealing with thunderstorms. And these have been pretty steady Eddie in terms of where they are located. They have not been moving very much. They do have a lot of lightning keeping you inside. But the area to watch for severe weather later today is this stretch from Colorado all the way down through West Texas and even some of eastern New Mexico. All hazards, but the main risks are hail and damaging winds. And I think hail is probably your biggest risk. 2-inch size greater or hail, Clovis, Hobbs, down to Fort Stockton. We'll have to see exactly where these storms develop, but the timing of it is going to be, once we get later afternoon, early evening. So 6, 7 o'clock-ish, storms fire up on the dry line. They push east. We'll watch that. Amarillo to Clovis, then Lubbock. We'll see how much develops further south here, how much destabilization happens as we get into the afternoon. And then Abilene, yes, tomorrow morning, you will have some storms yet again. Alex.
Well, how about more?
We've got thunderstorm chances coming our way, but then we go up the coast a little more. How about into South Carolina, low country area, Charleston? If you were thinking about either maybe doing some shopping on King Street or maybe heading down to one of the beaches, Folly Beach perhaps, maybe not so fast. Rain for you on Friday with temps in the 60s. Saturday, temps in the 60s, more rain. It will be windy and it'll be that east wind, kind of rawish and coolish out there. The front that we've been watching come through Florida this week here, it does make a move thanks to an area of low pressure that's on it. And that low pressure then pivots back up here into the southeast. So this happens at the same time there's high pressure in the northeast. That's going to knock your temperatures down a little bit below average for a time. But what that does with a strong low and a strong high, we end up with some stronger winds. So that's going to be a big factor here just in how it feels outside, kind of raw, plus the clouds and the rain all throughout the whole state of North Carolina and most of Virginia, too, gets into this rain. Mention that wind. We will see that here, especially there in eastern North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, the Chesapeake Bay. You'll be dealing with some windy conditions. That will be affecting your boating plans this weekend. You need to really watch that weather very closely to see if you end up with any windows. But I know it's going to be tough. So rain-wise, we start Friday morning with the rain along the coast. Then it starts kind of inching its way inland, and we see that through Saturday. Look at that. Now we've got the whole state of South Carolina, most of North Carolina. We're creeping up into Virginia. Then by Sunday, we're nearly covering the whole state. And so weekend-wise, I would say North Carolina, you guys are just kind of stuck in the middle of it all, and you really don't get a full day at all where you get some dry weather. I think surrounding it, you'll get some times to at least get a break from the rain, the clouds, etc. Rainfall will be heavy, especially along the coast, 3 to 5, if not even 5 to 8 inches of rain. And that does include Wilmington and Brunswick County, where just last Friday we were talking about flooding from a very similar situation. So heads up.
Big heads up,
Hard to believe the same exact scenario plays out. This
very
is
similar,
kind of
right?
worse, though, because it's just bigger in scale.
I was going to say more areas and farther inland as well having to deal with this. So, yeah, Memorial Day weekend may not be the greatest for folks. Is that going to force you to change your travel plans? That's what we asked you yesterday. Does the weather forecast force you to change your plans? And vast majority, 76% said, no, we're going regardless.
Only 4% said you would cancel. Small percentage, consider that. By the way, travel today could be some delays. Got to watch Northeast, Midwest, maybe the wind causing delays in Florida. Thunderstorms can always back things up, especially in the afternoon.
Yeah, so check with the airlines there. You chimed in with your comment.
Yeah, you need that change your travel for any reason or cancel for any reason insurance.
Yes, every time they're like, do you want to purchase this? I'm like, and I never do.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother discussion. Well, one person who drives toward bad weather is our storm travel.
You can do that all, and they just come right back. It's almost like that attracts them.
I think
Maybe we should just stay still.
Try it.
Next time.